particularly, they go after people who are in the stages of life where you have crises. Generally, it tends to be younger people. I'd say probably two-thirds of their recruits tend to be younger people, young adults. But they go also after widows and widowers, especially a person recently widowed who's got a lot of money.
It's totally a measure of how much that person wants to do. There's no signing over of the mortgage. There's no signing over of the inheritance. If you want to get some counseling, you pay a fee. And that fee is understood. And there's no future commitment beyond that. In other words, if you finish what you paid for and you don't want to do any more, you're not committed by any documents or implied agreement to do any more.
We're continuing our look at the Church of Scientology and its missing leader, L. Ron Hubbard. We've been joined by attorney Michael Flynn, who is defending 22 cases against the Church of Scientology. Ron Young, who's working on a biography of L. Ron Hubbard. He's a member of the Church of Scientology for the past 14 years. And attorney Harvey Silverglade. He's also representing the Church of Scientology. And let's give them all a round of applause, please. Starting out, gentlemen, do you believe that L. Ron Hubbard is alive? Michael.
Well, I don't think that it's really the critical issue in the lawsuit. The issue in the lawsuit is whether he's a missing person and whether his estate is being controlled by David Miscavige and other members of the Commodore's Messenger Org. My personal conclusions based on circumstantial evidence are probably that he is more likely dead than alive. Because of his health, the documented health history that we've done, because of the people who were around him for the last 10 or 15 years.
The church pays him at least $1.6 million. He will continue the attack, but if they pay him the money, he'll stop saying all these nasty things. You read the first page. Ask him about it.
Yes, ask me. What he didn't show you is the letter that they sent to me agreeing to pay the $1.6 million to suppress the truth. That settlement got killed because they wanted documents from my clients, which I refused to give them. That's why the settlement didn't go through. They agreed, and I have a letter from their counsel, to the payment of $1.6 million to solve the Scientology litigation.
Let him produce the letter.
In the summer of 1981.
Do you have a letter?
I have the letter. Unfortunately, I don't have it right there. But I will get it air expressed to you today.
Did you look at that letter, please?
And it's by J. Roth, and it's dated June 17th, 1982.
While I'm looking at the letter, let's take a phone call. Go right ahead, please. You're on the air. Go right ahead, please. You're on the air.
All righty. First of all, I'd like to make a comment. Basically this. Before I got into Scientology, and this has to do with the allegation that Mr. DeWolf says Scientology is connected with drugs, which is crazy. I was heavily into marijuana, acid, cocaine, you name it. Life was going downhill. I was going nowhere. I got into Scientology, went through a purification program, and I haven't touched drugs since, haven't wanted to touch drugs, and I'm doing great in life. So just a comment that really gets my goat about what Mr. DeWolf says, to think that Scientology tries to push drugs. I've seen thousands of people come off drugs, thousands. I was on staff for 2.5 years. I helped many people. It really gets my goat, and it really makes me mad because I've helped so many people off drugs. And I wish we could get the spotlight not on these isolated people who have their little intentions for money, but let's get the spotlight on people who have gotten help from Scientology. Millions of people, millions. And you'll have millions of success stories.
All right, let's see if we can get a response to this. What about, I believe it's called a Narconon program, or what one time was?
I don't know too much about the Narconon program myself, but I don't think I said that Scientology pushed drugs. I think what I have said, which is the truth and the fact of the matter, is that my father used them and on himself and others in his quest for personal power. And he also financed drugs deals. But as far as Scientology people are concerned, they didn't use drugs that I know of.
All right, take another phone call. Go right ahead, please. You're on the air.
Anthony, and in early November, I answered an ad in the Washington Post, and they had counselors, $10 per hour, no experience necessary. So I went to 2125 N Street, and S Street, I mean. And when I got there, they got me into some intensive courses. I ended up paying almost $200 for books and courses. After successfully completing the courses, I was told that counselors could not be paid for their services by the church. But if I left my money there, I would remain a member of the Church of Scientology. So I was really upset because I wanted this job, right? I went through all the courses, and they said it had been closed, like, right after I got into the program, that, you know, they found this out. And then they showed me a charter where it had been in there for maybe years, since '74. So I was wondering, how can they put an ad in the paper like that?
So you're saying you were misled? Is that correct? You're saying you were misled?
Right.
All right. Let me ask you, gentlemen, about that, because there's this portion of this process called audit, where supposedly you have put the 2 cans in your hand, and then there's some means of testing your emotional response to all this. Allegations.
It's like a confessional process.
Allegations are raised that perhaps this is recorded and used later on to blackmail people, that also individuals pay up to $300 or higher to go through this, that there are also stories of individuals turning over hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to go through these different stages of purification or whatever.
I've been audited myself. I've audited others, and of course...
Is it recorded?
Notes are taken on this, of course. And the thing is, however, like the one person that called in earlier, Mr. Flynn and Mr. DeWolf can have to make their money, in other words, to make a few $1 million, they have to raise these allegations, because the press will report this. Unfortunately, what is not covered, as the caller said, are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who will swear that it changed their lives, got them off of drugs.
But what about this lady saying that she read one article in the newspaper she got there, and what in fact was alleged in the newspaper turned out not to be in fact?
If that is the case, that is against the policies of the church. She should actually write, I would say, write Mr. Silverglade. He's an attorney in Boston. If she doesn't want to write the church, she can write it to the attorney, Mr. Silverglade, who can handle the matter. Because if that occurred, because counselors are paid, and if that occurred, then the whole matter should be handled with her. She can handle it with Mr. Silverglade.
I'd like to respond to one of your questions about auditing. I've been a lawyer for the church in this litigation for 3 years. I have asked to see auditing